Ian, I'd love to get your thoughts. And obviously, as a male that's been working your way through your banking career, what sort of other perception biases have you come up against? What sort of challenges? And do you think we overgeneralize when it comes to thinking about a man in banking?
Thank you very much for having me. I've put my lucky socks on as well. You can see those at the back there. I'm just going to preface my answer that there's absolutely nothing wrong with being a heterosexual, able-bodied white male. We need to get that out there. They've worked very hard to establish a position in this society which is privileged. And without them, many of us wouldn't be here in this room, including myself, and in fact this company that we all work for probably wouldn't be here. That said, that privilege has come at the expense of almost every single other minority group. And if we look at what the studies say, they show time and time again that it doesn't matter when it comes to things that are important for our business: intelligence, drive, creativity, capability. It doesn't matter what colour your legs are, it doesn't matter what's between those legs, it doesn't matter what you choose to do with what's between those legs. It doesn't even matter if you even have legs. You can be the best banker you can be regardless of all of those things. I'm going to just hone in on women as a subgroup because it's very visible, a minority that needs a lift. If we look at the 500 companies, 5% of those have a female CEO. Thank you. 5% of those have a female CEO. 15% of those have women as their board of directors, and 20% is what women can expect to earn less compared to a man in the same role. And those numbers are really shocking. When you think about them, we've created a society that is homogenous in a sense that it doesn't reflect the makeup of the customers coming through our doors, of the stakeholders that invest in us and depend on us for their pensions. Those customers don't mind, and they notice when they come through the doors. They're black, they're white, they're gay, they're straight, they're able-bodied, they're disabled, and they want us to reflect that. If we think about, I want you all to think about last January 2017, there was a photo in the press of Donald Trump signing into law a bill which restricted women's access to abortion treatment. And this picture, I don't mind what your political persuasion is, but this picture really worried me, and I think it should worry everyone, because in this picture was 8 white men deliberating on a subset of this country that those men had never had an abortion, they'd never had a period, they'd never been pregnant, they'd never been confronted with this shocking decision that women have to make. So being there making those decisions cannot be a proxy to what's happening in the boardroom in this bank or any other bank on Wall Street. We cannot allow that to be the case, that we're making decisions, because, and this is the important part, you cannot empathize with someone if you don't have someone in that room that reflects their interests. And if you can't empathize with them, how can you control the consequences of your decisions, the risks that those decisions put on those women and the wider society? So I think the point I'm trying to make is that we need as broad a church as possible to reflect the values and priorities and the things that people care about out there, so that we can properly service the people that we were put here to service. You made a really good point in your question, and I'm going around the bush a bit, but do we generalize too much? I think it's a really good point, because it's not just women that need a lift up. 13 years ago was the first and only time I've ever done a panel discussion like this, and it was just when I joined the bank, and the panel discussion was on changing gender perception. So 13 years later, here we are. And I was debating with a fellow graduate colleague whether, all things being equal, we both went for the same job. She thought she should get the job because she's a woman, and if we were equal capability candidates, that was what she thought. And I had a problem with that, and I still have a problem with that today, because gender is just one of many things that divide us, unfortunately. And we don't really have a good handle on the unconscious bias and the weighting of gender versus race versus sexuality. There are many groups that need a lift up, and if we focus too much on one minority, we actually do the opposite of what we set out to achieve, which is really to create equality for everyone. So there's no easy answer to that, but really what I'd like to see is everyone getting a lift up and trying to achieve their best. How do we do that? There are certain stigmas, and some of the panel have already related to it, in terms of crying like a girl. There's nothing wrong with having a cry. Do we need to man up? No, it is a totally unhelpful term, and it should really be obsolete. You know, in my home country, the UK, 74% of suicides each year are young men under 40. And I think you were saying as well before the session, Simon, that in every single country, actually the stats are the same. It's really worrying. So to change the gender perceptions, we don't just need to change it for women or for people of race or for people of different sexualities. We need to also change the perception of men. And this goes back to Jill's point that men are totally capable of being great nurturers and caregivers, and we shouldn't underestimate their ability to do so, just like women are totally capable of being leaders and inspirations to all of us. So we need a paradigm shift. If you've got a young child and it's a boy, do you buy him a t-shirt that's blue that says champion or cool kid? Or if you've got a young girl, do you buy her the pink t-shirt that says little princess? You know, are we limiting our children's potential and ambition from the day one with the unconscious biases that we all possess? You know, and that's, I make no apology for that. I also possess them myself, and we have to really try and be aware of that. I'm going to finish the point roundabout on you know, the value of differences. And I myself was born to a black father from the Caribbean and a white mother from England. So it's very hard to accuse me of racism because I have a lot of love for both communities. And I found that it allows me to navigate very complex racial issues to both audiences at times, which could be problematic for someone that was one race or the other. And that is a unique skill and feature that I possess. And every single one of you in this room will have uniqueness about you that's special and valuable because of your upbringing, because of your genetic heritage, because of your values. And that is what we really want to bring together, is a diverse pool of talent and individuals who can bring the best and make the best out of all of us. We're better than the sum of our parts.
I feel like that should be a wrap there, but
Sorry, it's a bit longer than I timed it earlier.
well, no, look, Ian, thank you so much for sharing that. And I think, you know, to both Jill and Ian, they've been very open kind of with how they feel and where they kind of stand in their journey through it. But I think it's safe to say that not all of us feel that open or feel safe to be that open. I think it's fantastic that we have two role models up there who are willing to do that. So I'd love to ask the question around, you know, so how do we start to create that safe space? How do we start to get everybody at that level where it's okay to talk about these issues? Perhaps, Scott, if I could turn to you and ask you some thoughts on that.
I'm not sure I want to follow you. Very well done. Boy, I think, and I come from a lens of the